Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the South Haven City Council. Today is Monday, October 6, 2025. This meeting is called to order. The invocation tonight is from Craig Massey of Hope Church.
Thank you. Those of you, again, who know me will at least receive my apologies for Anton Badenhorst, our pastor, who couldn't make it tonight for a couple of good reasons. But I'd like to do the invocation in his place. So, let us pray. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and for those who have been given the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help them to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help them to act with character and conviction. Help them to speak with charity and restraint. Give all of these the spirit of service to others. Remind them that they are but stewards of your authority and your law. Guide them to be the leaders your people need in order to produce and sustain a righteous citizenry. Help them see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creations deserve. And finally, Father, renew them with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of your creation and blessing. We ask this as your children, confident in your goodness and love, in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Mary Hosley.
Here.
Wendy Onuki.
Here.
Joe Reeser.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins. Annie Brown.
Here. Could we have a motion to excuse Letitia Wilkins?
I move to excuse Councilwoman Wilkins.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? She is excused. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We're moving on to community updates. We have a special proclamation for the South Haven volleyball team. Whereas in 1974, the Michigan High School Athletic Association introduced girls volleyball as a varsity sport, and South Haven High School proudly joined the inaugural season with over 100 student athletes trying out for a place on the court. And
whereas under the leadership of Coach Dean Hayden, the first South Haven varsity and junior varsity volleyball teams were formed, beginning a tradition that has spanned 5 decades. And
whereas South Haven athletes quickly rose to success, earning the program's first trip to the MHSAA Finals in 1977, followed by additional appearances in 1980 and 1991, and culminating in the school's first MHSAA Class B state championship title in 1985, which itself celebrates its 40th anniversary this year. And
whereas over 318 varsity letter winners have proudly represented South Haven High School volleyball, contributing not only to the conference, the district and regional championships, but also to the growth of the sport across the state of Michigan. And
whereas girls volleyball has grown into the most popular MHSAA girls sport in Michigan, now played by nearly 17,000 student athletes across nearly 700 schools, and remains a cornerstone of opportunity, teamwork, and achievement for young women. And
Whereas the South Haven volleyball program continues to build upon its legacy with generations of athletes, alumni, coaches, and supporters, sustaining the tradition of excellence, sportsmanship, and community pride. And
Whereas this golden anniversary year was celebrated with special events, including an alumni game and cookout, recognizing past champions, and welcoming new athletes to the program while honoring the enduring contributions of all who have been part of this remarkable journey. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Annie Brown, on behalf of the City Council, do recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of South Haven High School girls volleyball and extend gratitude to the athletes, coaches, alumni, and supporters who have made this program a lasting source of pride for our community. Come up and we'll take a picture.
Is your head visible? Do you need to come over this?
And the Dig Pink Breast Cancer Awareness Game is this Thursday, 1 o'clock at the high school.
Can public go to that?
I think so.
Next, this is Mental Illness Awareness Week, and we have a presentation from Ashley Walker, who is the Suicide Prevention Coalition Coordinator for Van Buren County. Thanks for being here, Ashley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Walker. I am the School and Community Liaison at Van Buren Community Mental Health, and I also coordinate our Suicide Prevention Coalition in Van Buren County. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So I'm just going to give a quick overview about Van Buren Community Mental Health Services and then talk a little bit about suicide prevention and trainings that we offer around that. So Van Buren Community Mental Health offers mental health services to children and adults living in Van Buren County. And people are able to inquire about being assessed for services by calling our main number, the 269-657-5574. We are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5, and then we also have a 24-hour crisis line, which is a 1-800 number. That is 1-800-922-1418. Our mobile crisis team is also available. This is for youth, so people under the age of 18. So if a youth is kind of in jeopardy of not being able to stay in the home, or maybe they struggle with their mental health and their normal coping skills aren't working, people are able to call our mobile crisis team and they can come out to the home or in the community, to the school, wherever that youth is at the time. They are available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We are working on eventually expanding that to be available more and over the weekends. And they can be contacted by calling our same main phone number, the 269-657-5574. We do like to add that if anyone's in danger, if there's like aggression going on or violence, we want to call 911, but Otherwise, our mobile crisis team can typically, get there and help intervene in that situation. Our youth intervention screening is a free screening that's available for youth ages 4 to 18 that live or go to school in Van Buren County. This screening is unique because if I wanted to be assessed for services at Van Buren CMH, typically I would have to go into one of our offices to be assessed. Our youth intervention screener actually goes into the home and does the screenings in the home with youth and their parents or caregivers. She can also go to school if that's more convenient. The youth intervention screening is not treatment or therapy, but it is just a screening to make recommendations on what would be the best fit. Our youth intervention screener then follows up with the family after making those recommendations and helps connect them with either CMH services or services in the community to be able to meet the child's needs and work with their insurance and all of that. So that's a really good resource to kind of have in your back pocket. As I mentioned, I am the coordinator for our Suicide Prevention Coalition in Van Buren County. So our Suicide Prevention Coalition meets quarterly to promote suicide prevention awareness. Our meetings are an hour and take place through Zoom. We haven't switched back to in-person meetings since COVID, so it's not like they take a ton of time, but it's a really awesome group that gets together and talks about what we're seeing in different areas of the county with students, with adults, and how we can really work together to be able to help mitigate some of the things that we're seeing. A lot of times we have guest speakers that will share resources and things like that. So if anyone's interested in joining, we have people who are a part of it as their professional roles, people who are just community members that want to be involved. Feel free to email me, and I have my contact information at the end of the presentation. Oh, that's okay. My email's up there too, but you can't really see it, so. There you go, thanks. The next slide here is information on some community trainings that we offer. So the first one is the Community Resiliency Model training, which I have a few flyers here. I don't know if anyone wants them. But CRIM is a set of 6 wellness skills that helps us learn how to reset our own nervous system. So it's really we teach people how to identify if they're in what we call their okay zone, and if they're not, or if they're on their way to being outside of what we call their okay zone, we teach them these skills to get back into that zone. So it's a really awesome training that you can use for yourself. I use CRIM skills every single day, but also for your friends, your family, those that you work with, students, things like that. And we have I'll talk about it on the next slide, I guess. And then QPR is Question, Persuade, Refer training. This is an evidence-based suicide prevention gatekeeper training. And this training teaches people how to identify if someone is having thoughts of suicide, how to talk to them, and then what to do once you talk to them. Who do I turn to? What do I say? Sort of a thing. So we do we compare it a lot to CPR, but for mental health. So we're not teaching people to be mental health professionals, but we are teaching people how to help this person until a mental health professional can get there. So our next CRIM training, this one actually is hosted by Bronson, but I am a part of training it, is October 9th from 9 to 10 a.m. and it is virtual. Both trainings are completely free, so feel free to share that, register. We would love to have more people there. QPR training, I don't have any currently scheduled. We just did a couple in Suicide Prevention Month, which was in September. But I will say I'm always happy to do QPR trainings to any group. We do offer them every so often, so you can keep an eye out on Van Buren CMH's Facebook page, and we usually post them there. But again, I'm always happy we've done them at churches, schools, small teams, just like in the community. So I'm always happy to do that if you have a group that is interested. And then lastly, 988 is, some of you may be aware, 988 is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. We in the United States used to have a 1-800 number for this lifeline, and about 2.5 years ago it switched over to 988. So 988 is available anywhere in the country, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People can call or text 988, and they also have like a chat feature on their website if you go to their website. Our local 988 call center for South Haven and Van Buren County is Griffin Place in Kalamazoo, so most of the calls that happen in Van Buren County would go there. Again, a free resource, and it's super awesome to have, to be able to, if someone's really struggling with their mental health, to have that as a resource, even if it's just like they need to talk to someone or get connected with services. So I always like to spread the word about that. I will leave you all with, before I kind of open it up for questions, I will say about 15% of our students in Van Buren County in 9th and 11th grade have reported having thoughts of suicide. And so this is something that is affecting adults, but also really affecting youth. And so it's something really important to me. And again, I would love to be able, even if you take one thing, like taking information about 988 and sharing that out to those that you work with or love, so people know that the resources are there. So I think the next slide has my contact information. So there's my phone number and my email. Feel free to call me, send me an email if you have any questions or, again, have interest in trainings. I'm always happy to do that.
Does anyone have questions?
Thank you for all that
Yeah.
wonderful information. I was just going to ask if you disseminate some of this information to the schools.
Yes. Luckily, my position was actually created in partnership with Van Buren ISD. So we have a really awesome relationship with the ISD and the local school districts. So we've done a lot of work over the past few years trying to get 988 information out. And then we've started doing a lot of the suicide prevention trainings for school staff, which is really, really exciting. So we haven't done all of the schools in Van Buren County, but that's kind of our goal, is to be able to get this information on how to identify students who are having thoughts of suicide to every teacher and school staff. So, yeah.
And what about for the mental health screening for ages 4 and up?
Yep.
People know
Yep.
about that.
Yep. I know she has presented, like at my Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting, which we have a lot of school staff, and then also at like principals meetings and things like that. So they definitely have awareness of it, which is really awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Do you have any more of the yard signs?
I do. I actually have like a few in my car. So if anyone would be interested in the 988 yard sign, I can bring them in before I come
Okay.
back. But like I said, I think I only have a few in my car. I don't have a ton left, but if you have interest in a 988 yard sign, one side is English, the other side is Spanish. Send me an email or text or phone call, and I'm happy to get you one.
Did you have a question, Mary?
Yes. For the response team, how many people are located on the west side of the county versus central versus east?
Like our staff for, is that what you're?
For the response team?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure because we've had a couple of newer staff start on that team, so I'm not 100% sure where everyone's located. And that's something that we, again, have recently expanded, and we're going to continue to expand. So I think that can definitely be like a conversation that we look at, like what the timing is of getting them, you know, where the emergency or crisis is. Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. And we have an office here, correct?
Yes, there is an office in South Haven. Yep.
And how many counselors or therapists are in our local?
So
office?
I work mainly out of our Papa office, so I have not spent a ton of time in our South Haven office. I think we have, don't quote me, I think about 5 in our South Haven office.
But is the South Haven office only for people who are on Medicaid and Medicare?
So it's kind of shifted because, so our Papa office is where people go to originally get assessed. So sometimes that can be a barrier for people, which is why with the youth intervention screening, I like to give that a little plug because she can actually go out to the home and do the screening for them. So someone in South Haven couldn't go to our South Haven office and originally be assessed. We have recently, because in the past we mainly saw people who had Medicaid, and we have recently, in the last couple of years, expanded that because we have a grant called, it's CCBHC, Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic. So we say CCBHC. So we have expanded that so we are able to see outside of the Medicaid population.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So the statistic, the 15% of students in grades, what was that?
It was grades 9th and 11th. And that stat is from our MiFi data, Michigan Healthy Profile, acronyms.
Yep, I know.
It's MIPHY. And that is completed by all of the school districts in Van Buren County every 2 years. So this school year is a MiFi year. So this school year we will have updated data towards the end of the year. And 7th, 9th, and 11th graders complete that survey. It looks a little different for each grade. But we've gotten some really good data, not good, sad data from that, but also been able to see like the impact that some of the work that's being done locally at the schools and around the whole county is making. So, yeah.
So the 15% that is of Van Buren County students in
Yep.
9 and 11.
Yes, that completed, not every, because parents do have an opportunity to opt out their student from taking the MiFi survey. So 15% of the students who completed it self-reported that they had thoughts of suicide in the last 12 months when they completed it. And that is, again, self-reported, and the survey is anonymous. So the hope is that they are willing to share their, what's really going on because they're not afraid of. And it doesn't just ask about mental health or suicide. It asks a lot about, substance use and things like that as well. healthy eating.
The good news is that South Haven Public Schools have a social worker in every building,
Yep.
so.
Yep, they do.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
And from the VBISD, we have a school psychologist that's here
Oh,
3
yeah.
days a week.
Awesome.
That's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ashley, I just want to thank you for what you're doing. I'm amazed by two things. I'm amazed as a layman how many children especially are depressed and have
Yeah.
been suicidal.
Yeah.
And I am just taken back by the kind of work that all of you do. It's so tough. My wife teaches social work at the university, and about 30 years ago, she did it for a year, the phones, and she manned the last shift, the midnight shift. And the stories that she would tell me, she'd come home in
Yeah.
tears.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Yeah.
So I have
I'm
the
sure.
utmost respect for you and your whole group. It's wonderful.
Thank
Kids
you.
need it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's now time for public comment for items on the agenda, excluding items scheduled for a public hearing, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Jim Sankowski, 89 North Shore Drive. I normally wouldn't come down here, but after seeing 2 articles in a couple papers and watching the last city council meeting, I realized I'm sort of like Leonidas and Thermopylae, or whatever that is, or Davy Crockett at the Alamo. I'm surrounded by, just hubris of watching those comments from those people at the last city council meeting, beyond arrogance. And what really roasted me, really made me angry, is them saying that we don't want to see a business in Bundy's, 89 North Shore Drive, after we sell it, after they sell it. Well, I'm not going to sell it. I don't have to sell it. I never have to sell it. That property will go down to my family, and they can do whatever they want. And then the other thing that really frosted me was the one person that says, well, Bundy's can go. We always have Northside memories. And that is just, I don't even know what to think about it. I've been over on the north side for 40 years in business. Bundy's I've owned for 30 years. My parents had the corner, and my family had the corner of a restaurant and bar on Dykeman and North Shore Drive. So I've seen the gamut of businesses moving out of the north side. And I bought Bundy's because Kurt, bless his soul, didn't want to sell to these carpetbaggers that just wanted to take his building and turn it into a house or a duplex or something. He told me, you learn this business and turn it over eventually to someone who wants to keep the business running. Maybe I'll do that, but I have no plans of getting rid of that property. And I don't even know how the heck this whole thing got with the planning commission. I just don't know, but I know one thing. The people that surround the bakery don't want it there. And they've awakened something in me. If it was a football game or something where they show to motivate the team, a film of the other team saying something about them or the last game or something like that to motivate them, I would be replaying last city council meeting here, because there's nothing like that. I've been motivated in my life, but that meeting has motivated me to go beyond what I thought I could go beyond with. I've really lit a fire underneath me and wants me to stay there forever. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Good evening, Bob Sherman, 250 North Shore Drive. I wanted to speak tonight in regard to agenda item number 10 and resolution 2025-34, which is City Council's statement of objections to the draft master plan that was presented to you by Planning Commission, and which you rejected. The items specifically listed in your objections include, the first is in regard to manufactured housing communities. And there are three parts in that. One says MHCs, manufactured housing communities, would not be an appropriate land use in areas with environmental contamination. And to that, I guess I would say, duh. Of course not. But there's been plenty of development in South Haven, and there's some planned in areas with environmental contamination. And what's done? The appropriate mitigation is done, and that development has gone forward. So if an MHC was proposed where there was environmental contamination, if the appropriate mitigation was done, seems like it could be considered. Second item in there says any MHC land use must be compatible with the surrounding area. And I'll point to page 71 of the draft. 71 of the draft revision says, I won't quote this exactly, but locations of manufactured housing communities should consider factors such as compatibility with surrounding land uses. Sounds like almost exactly what item 2 of the first objection says. The third piece of that says maps 9 through 16 should be considered in any decision to rezone property to MHC. Well, it's not specifically stated, but I guess you mean maps 9 through 16 of the draft of the master plan, the revisions of the master plan. But that's not stated. But some of those maps, I wonder what their relevance is. Tree canopy, impervious surfaces? I'm not sure. Map 15 refers to potential conservation areas. And the area of high potential conservation area includes the former Countryside nursing home, also includes properties on Webster Avenue and much of the Harbor Club development. That development all occurred, I guess, in spite of the fact that that was a potential conservation area. The second of your objections speaks to the Bundy's property, and we all know the folks on the residents of Oak Court and Willow Court have spoken loud and clear, and they don't like that future land use designation, and I understand and accept that. But I will question and challenge the statement that the future city land use map will lead to the erosion of residential character of the neighborhood. And I would suggest that's not accurate. If it's designated commercial, might it lead to something? Perhaps, but it would only occur if a future owner petitioned for a rezoning. If that would ever happen, frankly, I don't think that would be viewed very favorably, but it certainly is not a given that this future land use designation will lead to erosion of the residential character. Finally, the third of the objections, City Council desires that additional language be incorporated into the master plan to specify the property on Baseline Road has been identified as an area of residential land use, specifically workforce and missing middle housing would be most appropriate. And I understand that's an attempt to restore language.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. To restore language that at one time was in the draft. And I get that, I understand that. But I'll just remind everyone that this property, this parcel at 120 Baseline is not city-owned. We can't dictate to that owner what he or she ought to do. And I'll also say that it's likely, not under my control, but it's likely that owner will appear before planning with a rezone request before you, City Council, will be able even to act on another addition or another revision to the master plan. So thanks for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Pantalone, 777 North Shore Drive. Thank you for letting me speak. The 2018 version of the master plan contained language recommending that if 120 Baseline were ever sold, it should be considered for single-family housing. My comments are in support of that point, which may have mysteriously disappeared in the new version. I also want to call out that modular homes are very different from mobile trailers. Don't get confused by the term manufactured homes. We've seen the plan, and it's for trailers. I've heard the city wants family housing, and I've heard from both mayoral candidates, 120, that same thing, we want family housing. 120 Baseline is a great location for that, but if you rezone it, there will be a seasonal trailer park forever. I heard at the forum yesterday that in addition to the need for family housing, there's a need for long-term rental housing. The rezoning of 120 Baseline does not help with that either. I've heard the city wants to control and cap the number of short-term leases. If you allow a seasonal trailer park at 120 Baseline, you'll have 120 additional short-term rental rooms. That's 3 times the size of Old Harbor Inn. And you'll lose control to the property of the Michigan Manufactured Housing Commission. I heard at the forum yesterday that the council has designated increases in short-term rentals to 3 neighborhoods. I don't believe 120 Baseline is in one of those neighborhoods. I've heard the owner of the property is quite old, so there's a strong potential that if you allow it, if you rezone, possibly it'll be sold in a few years, and you've already relinquished your control of the property. I've heard here at city council meetings that the owner has a history of not paying property tax on time. The taxes coming into the city will be substantially less as a trailer park versus owned homes, if and when the taxes are paid. I've heard the owner of the property disregarded the restrictions on the permits, did more work than was allowed, worked at times that he wasn't supposed to, didn't take the environmental impact into account. Why reward this type of behavior with rezoning the property? You've heard from the citizens and neighbors that they don't want a seasonal trailer park at that location, so just don't rezone it. On another topic, your appointed planning committee voted last week to recuse their own members if their property is within 300 feet of a piece of property for which they're making recommendations to you, the board. They and the city attorney were eager to point out that they're not elected committee, so they don't represent the citizens of this town.
This part is not on the agenda.
I didn't know what, there's a special restrictions or new rules?
This comment time is for items on the agenda.
Okay. All right, then I'll wait. I
Thank
thought
you.
that was one of them. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan Shields, 777 North Shore. I'm a little confused about what's on the agenda and what's not, so I will be happy to have you tell me if this isn't it. As a very long time, almost 30-year resident here in South Haven, first of all, I'm confused to hear that it's not the job of the Planning Commission to tell a builder what they can do with their property. I thought that was the job of the Planning Commission. Zoning, maybe planning, coming up with controlling what's being built here. But I wanted to talk about the master plan survey, especially as it regards 120 Baseline. The master plan community survey recorded high levels of concern in several areas. Number 1, residential density. Number 2, residential lot coverage. Number 3, parking. And number 4, building, design, and neighborhood character. These were very high levels of concern in those 4 areas. These clear community concerns are contrary to accepting the 2025 master plan, since that could lead to a decision rezoning 120 Baseline to a manufactured housing community, or MHC. An MHC there would be high density with small side yard setbacks, seriously insufficient parking, and clearly not in keeping with the surrounding residential area. So I know that there's been a boatload, get it, South Haven, a boatload of work and expense in designing this new master plan. But I'm awfully pleased that you're looking at the wording again and trying to get it right, and so that it more clearly represents the community and our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gerard Durkee, and I'm from 243 Webster Avenue. And I was at a planning commission meeting a month or two ago, and they read lots of letters in support and not in support of what's happening at 120 Baseline. I would just like the city council to weigh more heavily on the people that live within 300 feet of that property, rather than people that may live on the south side or not even in the city that submitted letters of support. So hopefully you would grant more weight to the people that live within that 300 feet. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and good evening. My wife and I purchased a unit
I need your name and address, please.
George Ebersole, Ebersole. My wife and I purchased a unit at 777 North Shore about 1989. And we have loved the city in the summertime. We have loved the city in the wintertime. And we have become friends with a lot of the businessmen in South Haven and have worked with those people and enjoyed the company of those people, particularly those that were veterans. We become friends with all of these people, and we love the city, and we work with these city people. We participated very heavily in the pavilion and other citizens of South Haven. Now, with the missing 2018 document, we now understand the Planning Commission's desire is to allow Baseline, 120 Baseline, to be used as an MHC under control of the state Michigan law. This means the city no longer has any control of the property and receives no real estate taxes for the city from that property. How can that be? Why would anyone decide to deny the city of South Haven additional real estate taxes from those who would choose to develop 120 Baseline into residential areas? It does not make sense unless there is some type of deception going on within the Planning Commission. If that is true, it makes me sick and begin to downgrade personnel on that committee. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more comments, we'll move on.
Steve Schaefer at 615 North Shore, fifth generation owning property in that residence, and becoming a permanent resident later this month of South Haven. So thank you for your hard work and being a part of this commission. I met Rick Frimling last week at the Planning Commission and learned some new things that I hadn't heard before. We're ramping up, and a lot of this information coming up in the city. He's not able to attend tonight, so I wanted to bring up some of the things I learned through previous meetings. And the main thing is concerning the 2025 master plan changes, and we oppose rezoning it to MHC for the reasons that have been talked about partly tonight: loss of control from the city of South Haven to the state of Michigan, very limited property taxes paid. And he brought up some interesting facts about some private equity firms and how they have in the past had some not desirable outcomes for some other properties here in South Haven. So again, oppose the rezoning to MHCs, and please refer to Rick, and I know he sent a number of emails and other communications, so thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Gwen Klein, and I live at 777 North Shore. At the last council meeting, I was here, and many of us in the audience spoke about the importance of keeping South Haven's 2025 master plan to be consistent with the plan from 2018, especially when it comes to the property at 120 Baseline, which we're all talking about at this point. The 2018 plan made it clear that if this site were ever to be redeveloped, it should be used for single-family or multifamily residential housing. Yet, when the draft 2025 master plan was released, that language was somehow missing. The very part that protected the residential intent of the property was missing, and there was no explanation. There's no documentation of deliberations, votes at all at any of the Planning Commission meetings from the workshop all the way to February when it suddenly disappeared. When this was brought to the attention of the Planning Commission, residents felt that our concerns were dismissed, that they fell on deaf ears rather than being genuinely heard. There was no recognition of why that protective language had disappeared and no record explaining its removal. Instead, the Commission moved forward to be expedient, and that was one of the words that was used, to adopt the revised master plan as is, leaving many of us questioning whether the community's voice truly mattered in that process. That was what was developed from all of the community input in 2018. To my knowledge, there hasn't been that level of community involvement to change the language, so we didn't understand why it would be dropped. We deeply appreciate that you, the City Council, listened to us when we came and said we had these concerns, and that you directed city staff to draft specific language for the Planning Commission to include in the updated master plan. That decision truly meant a lot to us. Yet even those revisions, some of the wording still leaves room for some interpretation, and we don't want to go down that route again. To make sure the final master plan clearly reflects both the council's intent and the residents' concern, we fully support the language that's been proposed by Mary Housley. Her revisions are fair, accurate, and remove the ambiguity around manufactured housing zoning and the future of 120 Baseline Road. Adopting her proposed language will restore consistency between the 2025 and the 2018 master plans. It will also protect the character of our neighborhood, strengthen public trust in the planning process, which at this point I really don't understand. I'm very disillusioned by it. And ensure that South Haven grows and continues to grow in a thoughtful and transparent way. I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for your leadership and for your continued commitment to make sure the master plan reflects the will and the best interests of those of us who live in South Haven. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Durkee of 243 Webster Avenue, and the previous speaker said so much more eloquently than I possibly could in expressing my opinion. I am in complete agreement with everything that she said, including Mary Housley's revisions and proposals to the change. I think that including in the master plan a change of zoning at 120 Baseline would be not only not helpful to the city for all the reasons previously cited in terms of loss of revenue, in terms of not in keeping with the residential character of the neighborhood, in terms of not even really of providing affordable housing within the city limits, which I know is a goal that every elected official has, as do the residents. But I would encourage the city also to recognize how much opposition there has been to changing that zoning to MHC, and to take that seriously, because we live in this community, we are involved in this community, we believe in this community, and I just think that it would be a travesty for city officials not to recognize what everybody here is saying tonight in the last 4 or 5 speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Croupiers, 561 Indiana Avenue. I am speaking on behalf tonight of the neighbors that are in the Bundy's neighborhood, the surrounding area. Nobody could be here tonight from that group, and even though I'm in Ward 1, I've so appreciated coming to the meetings and getting to know the different groups of residents who come up here and put themselves out here to speak up on behalf of their neighborhoods and the city of South Haven. And so I wanted to make sure that this was stated tonight. In the event you didn't see it, it appeared as a quarter-page ad in the South Haven Beacon. Thank you, South Haven City Council. Dear members of South Haven City Council, thank you for listening to the residents of the WOW, Woodman, Oak, and Willow neighborhood and rejecting the proposed 5-year master plan draft on September 15th, 2025. This is in reference to the item 10 on the agenda, by the way. Your decision to return the draft plan to the Planning Commission for revisions after hearing our concerns protects the residential character of our North Side community and affirms your commitment to representing many of our town's North Side neighborhood residents. We are deeply grateful for your attentiveness to our neighborhood's concerns. Many residents have invested in South Haven properties over the years, drawn to the area's strictly residential zoning south of Dykeman. Your rejection of the plan ensures this vision endures. Our neighborhood, 20-plus residences surrounding 89 North Shore, unanimously opposes a commercial future for this site. A new commercial business, unlike the current business's limited hours, will disrupt our peaceful enclave. The 89 North Shore owners can always operate as a bakery until they choose otherwise, then transition to residential use per current zoning. The Planning Commission overlooked our neighborhood's collective concerns, favoring the owner of the 89 North Shore parcel. That is perplexing since we own and live here. The owners of that parcel do not live here. On September 19th, 2025, our 20-plus homes contributed $254,539.57 in summer property taxes, compared to 89 North Shore's $2,675.59. We invest heavily in our tranquil lifestyle, and your decision honors that. Your action corrects this imbalance. We rely on you, our elected representatives, to prioritize our community's broader neighborhood interests. By rejecting the commercial designation for 89 North Shore, you've safeguarded our property values and preserved our residential haven. Thank you for your integrity. We look forward to working with the Planning Commission on a revised master plan that reflects our community's neighborhood vision. Sincerely, the 20 Woodman Oak Willow neighborhood residents, South Haven, Michigan. Thank you.
If there are no more comments, we will move on. We are at the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through D?
I move to approve consent agenda items A through D.
Second.
Any discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
So I had sent in typographical errors, which I think are done automatically, but also the minutes for the city council failed to indicate that we had a recommendation that would be coming back to us. It just had the vote of not accepting the recommendation, and without clarification, I think that the minutes fail to express what occurred.
Okay. Is there a roll call, please?
So I move to amend the minutes, so to remove the minutes or amend them, whichever your preference is, Madam Mayor, for September 15th, 2025.
Okay, that dies for lack of support.
Sorry, I'll second it.
Well, actually, it doesn't need support.
If I may, an item can be removed from consent agenda with just one objection, and then we can just take that item after we approve items B through D.
Okay, thank you.
We could make it as 9D.
Okay. We're moving it to 9D. Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Arnold,
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Onuki,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. The city council will be asked to consider approval of the following special event applications. A special event, 2025-42, the South Haven Public School Homecoming Parade, to be held on October 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m., starting on School Street to Superior Street and ending at Radcliffe Field. B, special event 2025-43, the 41st Annual Blueberry Festival Craft Fair, to be held August 7th through the 9th, 2026 in Stanley Johnson Park. And C, special event 2025-44, the 50th Annual All Crafts Fair, to be held September 4th through the 6th, 2026 in Stanley Johnson Park.
I move to approve special event 2025-42, the South Haven Public Schools Homecoming Parade, as read by the mayor. Special event 2025-43, the 41st Annual Blueberry Fest Craft Fair, as read by the mayor. And special event 2025-44, the 50th Annual Craft Fair, as read by the mayor.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Those are all approved. And item D. Kate?
Well, Member Hasley pulled this out. I know that she has forwarded what she'd like. I guess this is her motion to make.
Yep, so I'm trying to get to the right page. The mouse is not. There we go. Sorry, the mouse has a mind of its own right now. So it would be on page 3 of 5 of the minutes, which would be page 6 of 70 of the agenda packet. Under item 10, after motion failed, but before the 5 minutes recess, I would insert that council agreed that legal counsel would provide to council a list of items for Planning Commission's reconsideration, with the list being provided to City Council for review comment prior to being sent to the Planning Commission.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Is there a way to?
We have to, there has to be a second.
I'll second for discussion. Is there a way to slim that down in terms of minute speak, I guess, for lack of a better word? Because I feel like this is kind of pointed to Megan, if it does make sense to say there was further action requested versus it's just dying there because the motion failed. That makes sense in my mind, but obviously you're the expert there.
Sure. So the minutes only have to include action items that were taken. And so a discussion item, of course, can be included in the minutes, but it's not required. So it's up to you guys if you think that it adds clarity to the minutes. So that is totally up to you guys to decide.
Okay. My opinion is that it does add clarity, but I would defer to Megan as to how the wording would be.
I could propose that legal counsel was to provide a list to City Council for review comment prior to being sent to Planning Commission.
Attorney Eberly?
Just to assist with Councilmember Onuki's question, would it be sufficient to say council discussed statement of objections and provided direction to staff regarding the statement of objections?
To me, that covers it.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, so Wendy, that's your motion, or we're good with that language?
I would amend my motion to incorporate the language of Attorney Eberly. Do you support that?
Yes.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Arnold?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
We do need now a motion to approve the minutes, not to just amend them.
Okay,
I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Support.
any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? Those are approved. Thank you. Moving on.
That doesn't need to be a roll call, does it? This is
The
part
roll
of-
call, I think, is money related,
Okay.
right?
It was part of the consent agenda. Oh, I see what you mean.
That's correct. I mean, we can take a roll if that's,
Okay.
but we did
Roll
get
call.
a
Thank you.
Arnold,
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Onuki,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Number 10, the city council will be asked to consider approval of resolution 2025-34, a resolution stating the statement of objections regarding the 2025 updates to the master plan as recommended by the planning commission. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Eberly and I, as well as with our staff, have been reviewing the discussion that we had at our last meeting regarding the master plan. We believe that we have incorporated the council's discussion and distilled that into the resolution, which would be forwarded to the Planning Commission for them to consider these statement of objections. We are happy to walk through them and see if there's any questions. Dave, do you want to walk through?
Does anyone have questions?
Well, I had provided 2 follow-ups that I thought of over the weekend based on comments at the July 10th meeting. You know, those minutes had not been hyperlinked to the agenda packet. And also, as Bob Sherman said, with regard to the environmental contamination, I had suggested inserting without proper remediation proposed, and for the maps, I had inserted related to coastal resilience, and then I added a number 4, based on the comments July 10th, use of a site plan is inappropriate as part of the rezoning process, and 5, review of state law and regulation should be part of the rezoning process, including but not limited to what is the maximum number of units that could occur on that site. For item number 3, I had specifically identified 89 North Shore Drive, and commonly referred to as Bundy's with the typographical error corrected, striking area, and as opposed to single-family residence, that is currently RM1, so I replaced that, which is its current zoning ordinance. And in item 4, the item I had suggested that mirrored the current future land use map and was stated a few times at the September 15th meeting was not incorporated, and that would occur, I proposed, between use and specifically workforce missing middle housing, and it says is appropriate for single-family homes or attached residential dwellings and not resorts.
Attorney Eberly.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a suggestion, it may help council work through this issue if there's a motion to adopt the resolution, and then once the motion is made and seconded and is open for discussion, members may propose amendments to the resolution if they so desire. I would suggest that any amendments be limited so that council can discuss and vote on each proposed amendment in turn, as opposed to an amendment that seeks to make multiple amendments. Then once there are no further amendments, there could be a vote on the resolution as amended.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion for number 10?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-34, a resolution stating the statement of objections regarding the 2025 updates to the master plan.
A second.
Okay, discussion.
So I would move to amend item number 2 that is on page 57 of 70 of the agenda packet.
We're going to get it pulled up. Councilmember Hasley, if you want to wait till we get it pulled up, that way we can type as you go.
Well, I sent the proposed amendments. You should have that available that people could actually read it. I'm just reading exactly what I sent by email on Thursday.
I understand that, but I'm trying to ensure that all the members of council can see it while the amendment is being proposed, so they know what they're voting on.
And the public.
And the public.
Yeah. Well, city council members got it.
Well,
also,
it's important
but
for
the public do need to
it's
see it.
important for the public to see it too.
Yep.
In transparency.
Yep, and that's why I provided it Thursday, so it could have been included in the agenda packet.
One person?
Give me a minute.
You have the PDF, Kate, or the Word?
I have the Word.
Okay.
But it's going to be on delay, so just be prepared for that. I'll type. It'll show them in later, okay? I can. Okay, fired off. What are you looking for?
So, under item 2, at the end of the first one about the environmental contamination, insert without proper remediation proposed. I know it's awkward, but it's the way it was worded originally.
Okay, that's the first item?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I would move to insert without proper remediation after contamination and before the comma, that's immediately before 2.
Without proper remediation proposed.
Proposed, yep.
Oh, second.
Discussion. Okay, let's have a roll call, please.
Arnold?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next.
I would move to strike the and before 3 and after 16, insert related to coastal resilience.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So I have what Mary's draft recommendations are, and I do have a problem with her additions number 4 and 5.
We're not at 4 and 5 yet. We're only at 3.
Well, the only reason you get rid of the
Oh.
and is because you're adding 4 and 5. So I can
So
talk
I
about
will-
my concerns now, and we can decide if you want to keep that 4 and 5 in there, but to
So
me,
how about if I amend to remove the striking of the and I'll strike the and with 4 and 5?
sounds good.
So I move to amend to leave the and in and insert the related to coastal resilience as already discussed.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay. Let's do a roll call.
Arnold?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next.
I would move to strike the and insert a comma, number 4, paren, use of a site plan is inappropriate as part of the rezoning process.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Go
So,
ahead.
What the rezoning process is covered in the zoning ordinance. How you rezone property, the considerations that take place as part of rezoning a property, that's all part of the zoning ordinance. And I don't think the master plan should basically try to rewrite the zoning ordinance to say what the zoning ordinance should do as far as rezoning process.
So what you're doing is basically changing the zoning ordinance with the master plan, and I don't think that's appropriate. The steps for rezoning a property is in the zoning ordinance, not in the master plan.
Well, unfortunately for the manufactured housing community, it bounces back and forth because what it says is within the manufactured housing community, I'm reading from the zoning ordinance, page 78, Article 14, middle paragraph of Section 1400. Within the manufactured housing community district, manufactured housing community shall be governed by the requirements of Act 96 of Public Acts of 1987 as amended, and the standards set forth in the rules and regulations promulgated by the Michigan Manufactured Housing Commission, including Part 9, community construction. The intent of this section is for provide for manufactured home development of long-term duration of stay in areas that take into account special characteristics as locational needs, transportation and utility infrastructure, site layout, and design demand upon community services, and the relationship to and effect upon surrounding uses of the land, and consistency with the South Haven Master Plan. So it's going back to the master plan to identify rezoning. So, and we heard at Planning Commission from Mary Lynn Buggy that reliance on a site plan is inappropriate because there is no guarantee that site plan will be approved. If the applicant's site plan is not approved by the city, they can actually appeal to the state, and the state has final word. So the city really loses a lot of control, and the use of a site plan has a higher probability of influencing a decision if someone likes the plan, and there's no guarantee that that will be the plan. That's the problem. So the decision to rezone could be improperly influenced by a plan that gets changed. And what is really critical is for manufactured housing communities, because it is controlled by the state, is what is the maximum number of units that could be there? Because again, once it has been rezoned, the city loses control. Although we get to review the site plan, if the applicant doesn't like the outcome at the city, they can appeal to the state, and we have no say. State has last word.
George, comment?
Everything you said is something that should be included in the zoning ordinance if that's the way it should be done. Putting it here in the master plan doesn't seem to be the right place, in my opinion.
But the master plan is the basis for amending a zoning ordinance that's already been adopted. So this provides the basis to amend the zoning ordinance to say site plans will not be allowed,
Well, that
will not
wouldn't
be
have any
considered.
effect here.
So I don't want the cart before the horse. I am trying to provide basis, because what Mary Lynn Boogie said made a lot of sense to me.
Any
Because
other
of the
comments
lack of
from
control.
staff?
Attorney Eberly, I think we've had a discussion about this.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I understand Councilmember Hosley's concerns. However, I would point out a couple things. One, a master plan is simply a plan. Okay, it's not, the dictates of a master plan are not necessarily legally binding. So to the extent you say you shall not consider a site plan, or its use of a site plan is inappropriate as part of the rezoning process, there's not really any substantive legal weight to that. However, what it does do is give somebody an argument that somebody's not following the master plan if that's considered in a rezoning request. But I would also point out that a rezoning is a legislative determination made by city council. And generally speaking, council members, like any legislative body, are entitled to decide what is relevant to them in making and casting their vote on a legislative issue. Now, if our office does, when a rezoning request is up, we do remind council members, hey, don't just look at the site plan in front of you. But that is a determination in my mind for each council member to decide what they want to weigh and what they don't want to weigh when they're making such a determination. And when the master plan provides guidance, the intent is to provide guidance in terms of planning factors, compatibility, environmental preservation, things like that. Generally speaking, the goal of a master plan is not to try to tie the hands of a future legislative body in terms of what is licit or illicit for them to consider when making their determination.
Thank you.
Well, I guess it's potato, potato, tomato, tomato. So we are the legislative body. If we, as a whole, believes that something is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the community, we can make a recommendation. Because the site plan can be changed and it has a potential to improperly influence the decision that the planning commission, which makes a recommendation to the city council, because someone likes the site plan, I'm inclined to take heed of the concern raised by Mary Lynn Boogie, because I have found her advice very helpful, because she's very resident focused.
I think that's, I didn't hear Ms. Boogie's comments, but I do understand what she's saying, and those are the same cautions we give any legislative body in making a zoning determination. So I'm not arguing with the fact that, generally speaking, as a staff member, I would encourage city council members to take a broader view of what the rezoning is. However, as a counterexample, putting something in there like that, again, it's not legally binding, so it could largely be a big nothing burger in terms of what a council member may choose to do or not to do, but it is, in my mind, creating issues that somebody may then point out to a council member, hey, this is what your master plan says. But for example, if for some members, and we've seen this in other instances, where they like the site plan, but they may have concerns regarding opening up that land use as a district, but because they're considering the site plan, they then say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Applicant, I really like what you're proposing on your site plan. However, I have concerns about other uses that may come down the road. I'm disinclined to vote for this as it stands now. However, I would be receptive to a conditional rezoning if you voluntarily offered it.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize conditional rezoning was even an option with manufactured housing community, considering control goes to the state.
I think we're ready for a roll call.
I have a question first.
Go ahead.
So this language is specifically for manufactured housing community and not
Correct.
general rezoning?
Correct.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is the point applies broadly in the sense of that's an example, and there is limited use in the manufactured housing context. My point is simply, and again, this is your resolution, council. I'm just pointing out that as a staff member, I would have concerns where you're trying to put things in the master plan that are slightly broader than, or are drilling down on issues that are more than recommending planning factors. But again, it's your resolution.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Say one more thing.
Sure.
So, real quick, so I just am thinking ahead when someone has a request to rezone property to manufactured housing community. Staff is going to do a report. They're going to go through the zoning ordinance and they're going to say, these are all the things the Planning Commission has to consider when considering this rezoning request. Now, staff is also going to go back to the master plan and say, oh, by the way, there's these other requirements here in the master plan that you'll have to take into account also. And to me, that's puts an unnecessary burden on staff.
Well, the current zoning ordinance says consistent with master plan. And case in point, for the manufactured housing community rezoning application, actually the application itself was flawed, the notice was flawed, and the staff report missed both of those flaws.
That doesn't matter what we're talking about, just so you know.
Megan, do you have the motion?
I do, yep. Do
Okay.
you want me to restate it?
Sure.
Okay, so I have moved by Hasley, seconded by Reeser to strike the "and" in point 2 and insert 4 parenthesis, use of a site plan is inappropriate during the rezoning process.
Okay, let's
set?
do a roll call.
Okay, Hasley,
Yes.
Arnold, I'm sorry, Onuki,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
No,
Arnold,
No.
Brown,
No.
motion fails.
Thank you. Did you have something else on your
Yes,
list?
and I would strike the "and" before 3, add "and". 5, review of the state law and regulations should be part of the rezoning process, including but not limited to what is the maximum number of units that could occur on that site.
I have the same concerns as the last thing.
I don't think there was a second.
Okay.
Okay,
Is there a
motion
second?
fails.
Second it.
Okay.
Guys need to be a little quicker. Okay, any discussion?
I would, yeah, like George is saying, I definitely think that Ms. Boogie found something in the zoning that needs to be addressed. But as George said, and as Councilperson Eberly said, the master plan is not where you fix zoning.
Okay.
And I, again, respectfully disagree, because when you are changing the zoning ordinance, you look to the master plan, because that is supposed to guide zoning.
Okay, Megan, roll call?
Onuki,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
No,
Arnold,
No.
Hasley,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
motion fails.
Thank you. Next.
So under item 3, I would move that after the first paren, insert specifically, comma, 89 North Shore Drive, and then jump forward, Bundy's is misspelled, it should only have 1 E. So strike 1 E, and strike area. And then move forward, it says single-family residential, but strike that and insert RM-1, comma, its current zoning district. Support, is there support?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
well,
So I,
Excuse me, George is
well,
speaking.
actually,
Excuse me.
the person who moves, under Robert's Rules of Order, gets the first talk.
Okay,
I did.
go ahead.
During Planning Commission, because the master plan has removed lot lines, there was concern that the commercial redistricting was applying to more than the 89 North Shore Drive. And the residents who spoke routinely asked that it be specifically identified. It never was identified. We ultimately got it into the minutes. But as Councilman Sleeper said, we don't want to have to chase down things to know what's clear. So that's why the 89 North Shore Drive was there. And the rest is hopefully self-explanatory.
George?
so I don't really have a big problem with all this. The only thing I would say is just get rid of the single family. I think you can just have it say residential. It doesn't need to say RM1, its current zoning district, because this is the master plan. It's not a rezoning effort. And so all we're doing is we're just trying to make sure it doesn't go commercial.
Wendy?
I would agree with George. I think that's a good middle
Okay,
ground.
do we need
I would also say that we don't talk about RM1 in the master plan. That is a zoning classification. That is a district. That is not in the master plan. Master plan talks about land use classifications. And currently, in the 2018 master plan, Bundy's is zoned multifamily, as is 120 Baseline, which is zoned for multifamily, resorts, or single family. So I want to be very clear that we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about land use classifications as a master plan, not zoning district classifications.
Correct. But it's not single family, so that, I knew that was wrong. Again, I tried to get something out to you quickly Thursday morning. I've had very long days.
Are you good with amending it?
Yes, so I would move to just strike single family, leave it residential, and not add the additional RM1.
Do you have that motion, Megan?
I do, but I guess I want to be clear. When you say residential,
It
there's
would be,
two.
I'm trying to
multifamily?
get to the current master plan so that I can get the language right.
Kate, you were interrupted. Go ahead.
Here's the master plan right now, or the future land use plan. As you can see, this is all the multifamily right here in this brown.
Yep.
This is the classification, multifamily attached residential / resort. And
Well-
this is the 2018. This is the current plan that is adopted right now. I don't have the 25 proposed future land use map in front of me.
And so, and because of how broad those definitions are, I know that the residents, based on their comments, would definitely not want this to be a resort.
How big is the lot again?
Correct, it's very small, but the property just north of it was supposed to be unbuildable, and it has 2 duplexes that house 32 people with 3 parking spaces.
I wasn't on the planning commission at that time, so I really can't tell you much about that.
Okay, what's the motion right now?
So
Motion is what I have written here. But we do need to figure out what is the classification, if you want it to be changed from commercial to, and I've stricken single-family residential as you requested. I just don't know what to put back in there. That is what I'm asking about.
I would say multifamily attached residential. I believe that would fit in.
Okay, Megan, are you clear on that?
Yes, we're still keeping the specifically 89 North Shore Drive and fixing the spelling of Bundy's and then striking the word area and then including that new language at the end of the sentence.
Right, and striking single-family residential.
Can we leave single-family residential as well? So it's an and?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay, are we ready for a roll call?
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Onuki,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next.
And the last one is under item 4. After residential land use, insert is appropriate for single-family homes or attached residential dwellings and not resorts.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Can you tell us why you changed that?
So if you look at the current land use map for that property, in the 2018 future land use map, it has MF-AR/SF, so multifamily attached residential single family. And similar to Bundy's, they're broad districts, so it's multifamily attached residential resort. And because the original language, if you go into the text of the 2018 master plan, it says that if the nursing home ceases to exist, it would be appropriate for single-family homes, residential. Because of the broad strokes of the future land use map and comments from the residents, the clarity was that it would be for multifamily attached residential or single-family dwellings and not resorts, because resorts is part of that color. That's the problem when you paint broad strokes. You get unintended consequences if it's not adequately discussed in the text.
Any other discussion?
I just like the fact that we spell it out, no resorts.
Any other discussion?
So I feel like we're limiting any potential future use of that by saying and not resorts. There could be a very nice resort that could go there, and we're saying, no, we don't want that type of development. The overall message I'm worried about sending is that, okay, we don't want people to develop properties unless, you know, they fit this very narrow definition of what we want to see. So I'm going to vote no, just because I like to just leave it the way it is.
Okay.
And I would just like to clarify, the current 2018 master plan that was based on a lot of public input had the discussion and the future land use map that it would be for single-family, multifamily, attached residential. It left off resorts. That is what the current master plan has. In the language of the master plan, I should say that's what the future land use map has. In the master plan itself, it says if the nursing home ceases to exist, that single-family housing is appropriate for that area based on the surrounding areas, but we also know Maple Glen is there, which would then be the attached residential. I would find along your line, your concern is actually what was added by the mayor last time, was specifically identifying workforce and missing middle housing. That does not occur in the current master plan.
That was merely a suggestion.
But I'm just saying, in light of what Councilman Sleeper had said, my language directly mirrors what is in 2018. What the residents have said was stricken without discussion, and I concur. And this additional information that you say was a suggestion is what was incorporated versus what I had suggested based on the current master plan and future land use. If you want to strike that, then you can make a separate motion.
Okay, we're ready for a roll call.
Sleeper?
No.
Arnold?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, we're done with that. Now we have to vote on the entire item.
Assuming there's no
amended.
further amendments, yes, Mayor.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move to approve, I'm looking for the resolution number. Resolution 2025-34 as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Hasley?
Yes.
Onuki?
Yes.
Reeser?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 11, the city council will be asked to consider next steps regarding the ad hoc committee for the city council code of conduct. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. We have been working on a code of conduct for how the council can relate to each other and get business done since our training in January of 2024. We've had a few meetings, and we recently had a meeting with the attorney's office and the ad hoc committee. And now we're getting into October, and let's face it, after this meeting, we're pretty much in middle of October. We've got a few weeks, and then we're into the holiday season. I guess I'm asking the council for what their pleasure and their guidance would be on this ad hoc committee. I know there was some confusion as to what this is. This is the code of conduct for the council and how they relate with each other, get things done, make decisions, get things on the agenda, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm anticipating it to be at least a 2 or 3 hour meeting, but I would like to know, what does council want to do? Do we need to have a special meeting? Do we need to have a Monday meeting? Do we want to have a Saturday? So I'm just looking for some guidance as to how you'd like to proceed here.
Kate, one note I would like to add, it was just, kind of our thought was this would be like a handbook for new council people, something they could read and, the basics of how to conduct business up here.
That's correct.
That was the thought.
And how you relate to each other,
Yep.
right? You're a body that has to operate.
Our roles, defines our roles.
That's correct.
Yep.
George, you were on the committee. Any comments?
Well, if you go back to the genesis of this committee, I think overall, we've gone almost 2 years and not really had similar problems to what caused the formation of this committee. So I don't feel a need that we need to try to rush through and get this done anytime soon, because it seems like we've kind of fixed ourselves. But I'll leave it up to the rest of the council, since I'll be leaving, unfortunately. So.
And then for everybody else too, there were, and I should give credit to Mary and George, they did the lion's share of the work. But on just a couple of issues, we kind of split. And so then Mary wisely said, well, these are things that we should bring to the whole council to decide. But like Kate said, these are not quick issues. It could be 2 hours of us sorting through things before we get it done. But so we do kind of have this handbook almost done.
Well, as a member of the committee, I would like to speak. We met only 3 times in 2024. We went a whole year with no meetings. We had a meeting on July 10th. I thought the attorney was going to be providing guidance. We haven't gotten anything since July 10th. That's 3 months ago. Some things have been resolved, but some things have not. As Kate just admitted, that it was supposed to be about getting things on the agenda. That is still met with great resistance and is not easily done. And I'm not sure that that's actually in the current draft. That got removed, even though you said that was an issue this was created for. And one thing that this was brought for was to help identify what we should or shouldn't do. And one item in the current draft is that, just a reminder, we had this in Parliament, was it parliamentary? We had so many trainings at the beginning in 2024, that city council members are not supposed to go to Planning Commission and ZBA. Those are live streamed. We can watch them there. We should not be attending them. One issue that we couldn't agree on, I found a recent conduct.
Excuse me. What we're doing tonight is considering the next steps. That's
Correct.
not the
And-
content.
No, I respectfully disagree and do not appreciate being cut off. So the next step is, these are the things that we have addressed, and how quickly should they be brought forward. Glossing over some of the key things we did allows easily just saying, we'll wait, because we've self-corrected, but we haven't. We haven't completely self-corrected. And it would have helped significantly to know the next step if we had had the input from legal counsel that I had expected following our July 10th meeting. We haven't gotten that. So we're actually at a point being asked to make a comment, really not having all of the information.
Comment or a date? Just, that's what I'm looking for. Do you all want to meet or not? That's all. It's pretty simple. I'm trying to be pretty respectful of our time. It's 8:39. We have a
Yep.
relatively light agenda, and we still have to get to the second public comment period of tonight. So I guess that's what I'm looking for. is we've got an ad hoc committee that was formed for the code of conduct for council's relations between themselves. We can meet. We just need to set up some time when we can get down here for a good block of time, 2 to 3 hours. And maybe we can do that on a Saturday if that's your pleasure, because I know some of you have jobs that you're not able to get out on time.
Okay.
Well, and as I said, if we had the draft, so we knew what it was going to look like, I think that would have helped us decide whether we did or would not want to meet.
Pick a Saturday in November.
Well, hold on. I'm processing what Mary's saying. It sounds like probably the three of us need to meet again before we bring it to everybody.
Okay.
Or at least see the
That's my
draft.
thought. Oh, that's possible too. Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll get back to you. Can you pick a date in November for the committee to meet?
And we'll find some time, yes.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I don't know how we can discuss this. It's like the elephant in the room if we don't go right to the issue. January 16th, 2024, the mayor broke the Roberts rules, and she insulted 4 of us, and it was horrible, and it's on film, anybody wants to see it. A year later, January 16th, oddly enough, a year later, similar thing happened. That's breaking the rules of conduct, breaking the rules of Roberts rules. To me, to keep pushing this off is like a kid who breaks the law or an adult who breaks the law. We'll get to it 2 or 3 years down the road. No, this should be done, because not only was it a horrible night twice, but what does it do for the next city council? How do we ever get this fixed? Are we going to let this go and have these kind of outbursts from the mayor or whoever is mayor or anybody else? We have to be respectful. That wasn't. So this has got to be fixed. And the only way to fix it is to have this Code of Conduct Committee and get it done sooner. 2 years or 1 year and 3/4 is too long.
Okay. There will be a meeting for the committee sometime in November. We're moving, did you have a comment? Were you
Yeah,
raising
Mayor,
your
if I could provide some additional context. It's my understanding, as members have said, that the purpose of the committee was to draft a code of conduct. There was, I think many members of the committee would agree, some mission creep in that, which led to some of the delays that Councilmember Reeser is referring to. At the last meeting of the ad hoc committee, we were able to identify that there were really 3 quote-unquote buckets that the committee had kind of begun digging into. One was the rules of conduct, which is my understanding is that was the mandate of the committee. 2 was bylaws, i.e. supplementing Robert's rules, parliamentary procedure. And the other bucket was the city manager, city council relationship and how ways to dictate how the city manager should perform her job had been proposed. At the ad hoc meeting, there was general consensus that there had been mission creep and that one of the reasons to bring this back to council was to get some clarification in terms of what was the actual objective of this committee. There was also, to my recollection, I could say rough consensus to the fact that to the extent that there was going to be action taken, a more robust discussion was going to be needed. There had been a draft, some revisions made to the Code of Conduct, and I believe the bylaws potentially. But it was recognized that the next step, at least on those 2 issues, would be bringing it back before this body. When it is scheduled for substantive discussion, our office will review the draft and provide comment, but understanding that there was a likelihood that this body may choose not to proceed with the discussion in light of the upcoming changeover on council, we didn't review it yet because it wasn't scheduled for a substantive discussion. The purpose of the agenda item, as Kate stated, was to simply ask council, what's your pleasure? Do you want to meet as a group to discuss this matter holistically? As part of that would be to review what drafts have been provided, or did you want to send the council or the committee back to work on a couple items? And so I think that additional context is helpful and helps kind of explain why things may have taken longer than some members of council may have anticipated. So I guess I'll leave that there and let council do as it pleases.
Yeah, I think based on all the commentary, it does make sense to meet as a group and flush it out together. I liked how you said holistically, kind of tackle this thing and get it done. Yeah, because I feel like, to me, it's better to have something going, some guidelines, a framework going into this new council, the couple of members that are going to come on board here, versus them trying to come up with stuff when they're kind of fresh and don't know exactly what they're dealing with yet. But I will say, my recollection is the meeting that this stemmed from, there was discussion about how to get things on the agenda, and it did go a little bit beyond code of conduct, but it was kind of all rolled together. And it was, I believe we did kind of talk about our relationship, like, yes, very much what are our roles, what is the city manager's roles, how do we work together? I think all of this stuff would be helpful, and I do appreciate the work of the ad hoc committee, but I feel like as a group, given that we've spent 2 years together, we could get in a room and come up with something. So that's what I would like to see happen, is like a poll to see if we're available any dates and kind of go from there. That's my thought.
Yeah.
George?
So I mean, after our last meeting, we did come and basically we finished up a draft of the first bucket, as Dave was saying. So, I mean, that's available. There's just one item that needs to be hashed out amongst the whole city council, but that is, I think, very close to being done. But it does need input from the whole council.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could meet as a group, a whole group, in November, whenever anyone has time. Okay. Mary?
Yeah, just to clarify, so, I mean, there was a whole year that we did not meet. And I appreciate that there was a lot on Kate's plate. Griffin had left, police chief search. But the delay was that year. And also, as George just said, you know, at the July 10th meeting, we were pretty much done. And it's been 3 months. And thank you, Wendy, for confirming that, yes, getting things on the agenda was to be an item. At that July 10th meeting, we realized if we wanted to get something done more quickly, it would be easier to bucket it out into 3 things. I think Councilman Reeser is the best situated to discuss difficulties in getting things on the agenda. And so that is a significant one, but it was stripped out so to be a standalone, and nothing's been done on it.
We're moving on to number 12. The city council will be asked to consider an award for the conduit installation contract for the Huron Street Electric Underground Conversion Project to Severance Electric in the amount of $108,395 and authorize staff to execute the necessary documents. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an award for installing conduit as part of the Huron Street Electric project. As we know, we're doing the Huron Street reconstruction right now. We budgeted up to $700,000 in this fiscal year for capital improvements to the electric, including which did contemplate the burying of the electric. This is part of 2 phases. We broke the work out because we knew this had to be done pretty quickly while the road was tore up. We're very pleased with this amount. It looks like one's going to meet our time frame, and it was coming in less than what the engineer recommended, or what, I'm sorry, the engineer estimated.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to award the conduit installation contract for the Huron Street Electric Underground Conversion Project to Severance Electric in the amount of $108,395 and authorize staff to execute the necessary documents.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
And just so, Kate, that's all coming out of the electric CIP?
That's correct. That was part of the documents we reviewed in April.
Okay. Right, and because I had asked you and you had said it was part of the Huron Street, and I asked you for the specific budget, so, thank
Yep.
you.
I think when I look at the CIP, it was $700,000 for the entire project. And like I said, this is phase one.
Yep, thanks.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The motion passes. Next, the city council will be asked to receive an update from interim police chief Adam DeBoer. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me up here tonight. Apparently, I'd zip my folder up instead of unzipping it. So Kate's going to get my PowerPoint up. It's been a very busy day for me. Spent the day out at the range with a few of my guys getting my annual qualifications in, and I did not print my PowerPoint slides. So I may have to read the screen a little bit, and I apologize for that. So August stats. Again, my least favorite part of my presentation, but I think it's very important that you guys know what we're doing. Calls for service were down a little bit in August, 316 calls, 64 traffic stops. Township, 142 calls, 54 traffic stops. Totals for the year, department-wide, we're at 3,433 calls and just under 1,200 traffic stops. So it has been a busy year. I think the next page has one more thing of stats. Our arrest stats for August, again, you're getting August. I got the September ones about 3 days after I sent these to Megan. I have them, I just don't have them for you. I'll have them at my next report. 212 reports in August, 35 arrests, 32 misdemeanors, 3 felonies, 5 OWIs. I think 2 or 3 of those OWIs were felony OWIs. So operating while intoxicated, to make it a felony, it has to be a third offense. What I like about that is my guys are getting people off the street who have a propensity to drive drunk. And if it reaches a felony, those are the ones that we really want to get off the street. So we had a couple of organized retail crime. Those are also felonies. So organized retail crimes are people working in concert together, or there are people that after interview have admitted that they stole the stuff in order to resell it, usually where we run into it. Having Meijer and Walmart very close to the highway, we get quite a bit of that. People coming from outside of our community and doing that. So we've had a lot of good cooperation with agencies to the north and south of us, catching people that we get a good description on, and have helped us out a lot. So the 7 retail frauds, those are just your kind of run-of-the-mill shoplifting, as most people would call them. Driving while license suspended, we call DWLS, no insurance, and a couple warrant arrests. So our guys also wrote 61 citations for the month of August. Our busy season is done. Yep, our busy season is done. We are into training season. So far for the year, our department, the 17 guys we have done 552 hours of CPE training. Continuing professional education is a state push. Prior to 2 years ago, we had no continuing ed requirements. Many state licensed professions had continuing ed requirements, whether it be nursing, firefighting, hairdressers. They had requirements that they have to meet. The last 2 years we have F2. So those 552 hours are mental health response, leadership, health and wellness investigation, just different investigative stuff that our guys are learning. A lot of that is online training. It's a pretty heavy lift for us to get all 17 members of our department to get 24 hours of training in a year. So we rely heavily on that. There is a lot of other training our guys do that also go into those CPEs. We had 2 guys that went to the Forest Science De-Escalation Instructor body-worn camera class, and our detective went to a 1-week homicide and death investigation as well. I spent a little time at the Police Executive and New Chief School with MACP. From that, reason I am a little more involved than before in MACP is we've decided to do accreditation with MACP. So MACP is the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. And through them, they have the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. We received a grant through the MECP that requires our application fee to be accredited. Also covers the cost for 2 years of Power DMS, which is a digital management system. Allows us to better track policies and procedures, who gets them, who hasn't gotten them, if they need to be changed. So that's what that grant covered. Right now, there's 100 agencies in Michigan. Of the 573 police agencies in Michigan are accredited through MACP, and there's 42 agencies in process, like South Haven. The first 2 years of that process for us is covered through the grant. Yep. So the next slide is a little bit about why accreditation. Accreditation looks to build professional standards, builds public trust, limits some risk, or helps with the risk management, training, accountability, operational efficiency, independent validations, and some continuous improvement. So through the accreditation process, MACP says this is a group of standards that our agencies have to meet. We're working on meeting those now. We're going through all of our policies and procedures to make sure they line up with the best practices of agencies in Michigan. Through that, it helps us better track some of the stuff that people really want to know about, our high-risk, low-frequency events, pursuits, foot pursuits, use of force type stuff. It's a way for us to track that better, which helps build public trust. The risk management liability, there's a big focus on training. With the accreditation, we have to meet certain training requirements every year to get our accreditation. The independent validation, which is a big one, when we decide that we're ready for accreditation, MACP sends independent assessors from agencies all over the state in to check our work. They say that yes, these policies and procedures are good. They also say that we hold our guys to those policies and procedures. And the continuous improvement, as things change in the state, it's very hard for me as one person to keep up on all the different changes that happen in policy. Through this program, MACP sends those changes out for us. So that's been a very big push right now. Going into winter, that will be the big push at our department. So we look to have this done before May of 2027. So process now, we're going through policies and procedures. We've got some new software coming in to help us with that. And then we should be accredited by May of 2027. There's one more. That's it. Any questions?
Mary?
Yes. Now that it's a quieter time of the year, I know over the Icebreaker weekend there was some vandalism, and the store owner had talked with Chief Swoop, who had mentioned about getting cameras for downtown. Is that anywhere on your radar?
This is the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
So going back to February, that was a while ago.
No, I know.
So we have
But-
some downtown. I will say there was some confusion this past week by a citizen that thought the cameras on top of the light post, the stoplight, are cameras that we record. We do not record those. Those are simply for traffic purposes. I don't have any access to those at all. We do have a couple cameras that shoot downtown, but we don't have great camera coverage. I know I have had some discussions with the IT director on different camera stuff. I know it came up a little bit in the lifeguard stuff as well. So that is one thing we could look into a little more.
Because it's my understanding, it was difficult to prove who threw the stone that broke the glass, and a camera might have assisted in that.
I'm sure it could have. That being said, business owners can put their own cameras up as well.
But so it sounds like what Chief Swoop was working on nothing got down to you guys, or that aspect was not maintained.
it wasn't sent to me, but there were a couple people before me as well. So
Yep.
the game of telephone that we were bad at in preschool, apparently we're still bad at today.
No, I just was wondering, so it's not on your radar. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is now time for public comment. Citizens in the audience will be heard on items not on the agenda, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Dennis Lewis, 1439 Clark Place. Real simple and short. I'd like everyone from all parties to join us at the October 18th No Kings Day March here in South Haven. I think it starts at 2 o'clock to 2 to 4:30, if I remember right. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'm Tom Capps, 235 Bailey Avenue. I had a list of things I wanted to go over today with concerning lifeguards and maybe some hospital facilities. I've talked to the CEO of Bronson and got information on lifeguards that I would like to pass on, but I'm not going to do that tonight due to 9 o'clock at night. But something I would like to say, we were talking of code of ethics, and I think that's a great thing, but I also have to say that tonight's meeting has been an example why, after I've knocked on neighborhood after neighborhood after door, and they comment about the city council. Tonight, we got started on some issues, and after that, I've seen the mayor get thrown under the bus. I've seen the city manager get thrown under the bus. I've seen the city attorney get thrown under the bus. We don't need to do that here. They're watching on TV. They're going, what are these guys doing? Instead of handling the issues, we're throwing insults. And these guys all work hard. And you guys work hard. And maybe when you're doing that ad hoc book that you're trying to pass on to the new council member, maybe you ought to read it. We should have been doing that for a long time right now.
Thank you. Any other comments? We are moving on to city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to keep my comments rather brief. We have Fire Safety Fun Night that's this Thursday, so for anyone who wants to bring the kids down and learn a little bit about fire safety, or get a hot dog and get some candy, that's a great one. That'll be at 90 Blue Star Highway at the Shays Station 3. Also, we learned this morning that they're ready to go ahead and pave our driveway that we have been at the driveway at Public Works. We've had that opened up. We've been putting in, obviously, our new water tower over there. They're going to be closing the driveway tomorrow, so Public Works will not be accessible. We did put a notice on the city's website about that because they're going to be paving tomorrow. So Tuesday, you won't be able to go to Public Works. Of course, staff will be there, but it should be back open October 8th. Speaking of construction, we are definitely in construction season right now. We have always got a lot of stuff going out. Last week, we put out our leaf pickup reminder. We also put out the Huron Street reconstruction. Elkenberg Street should be done. I'm getting some feedback. Sorry about that. And then we also are working on Wells Street. So we are doing a new water main. So Wells Street will be closed to through traffic. We are going to maintain local traffic to 7th District West Courthouse, the Moose Lodge, as well as the Calhaven campground, but the driveways for the cemetery as well as Shays Station 3 will be closed off. We'll be moving that on down. We have also closed the Black River Park overflow lot, but the launch remains open, and in fact, the gate's up. So if you want to go launch your boat for free, you can. So those are my updates. I know we have a lot going on. We have a lot of construction going on right now.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes for questions.
I have a couple. Kate,
Yeah.
Fire Safety Night, what time was that?
I think it's
event?
5 to 7. We do have the notice on our, it's 5 to 7 at the Police Fire Complex.
Okay, and then DPW, the parking lot's closed, but you can still call them.
You can still call them,
Yeah, you said,
637-0737.
And then finally, for Wendy and I, because this was a hot issue for Ward 2, when leaf pickup starts, they do it like they plow. So they hit north-south roads first, and then the next day they get east-west, or something like that?
Yes, I want to get some clarification because the notice actually said they're going to go ward by ward, which is something of a deviation. So I got to get some clarity on that. We have a new street superintendent. As you know, Aaron Preeb stepped into that role. So he's our park superintendent and now our street superintendent.
Okay.
Any other, Mary?
Yeah. Do you know when we might get our, the final report from DHS?
I'm hoping to have that at our next meeting.
And for the short-term rental Q&A, that was a bit challenging. And, you know, there were a lot of questions on fees. So when those were brought to us, Attorney Eberly had made reference to a large Excel that was used to create those fees. Is it possible to get that Excel?
What do you mean an XL?
He said there was a worksheet, I thought he had said Excel, with everything that was listed, that was identified, that was used to create the fees.
Sure, I can disclose that. If council wants to modify the fees, that's fine. If we take a hit to the general fund, I just want you to know that's where it's coming from.
Well, I had asked at that meeting for a copy of that
At
list.
which meeting?
The meeting when the fees were approved,
Okay.
and I've not gotten anything. And there was one comment tonight about delinquent taxes. So is anyone able to file, you know, for short-term rental, demolition permit, any type of permit with the zoning department, building department, if they're delinquent with their taxes?
No, that would not prevent that, no. I think with short-term rentals, that was something that was just looked at, but no.
That
for
was added.
Any other generalized permit, no, that's not. We don't stop city services. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. And moreover, we can't always tell if they've been paid because our BSNA only shows what has been paid here. If something's been paid at the county, we'd have to call over there for each individual property. We have such a volume coming in the door that we're not going to be checking that.
Okay, so someone can file for rezoning even though they may be delinquent.
That's right.
Any other questions? I just have one question. At the candidate forum yesterday, a candidate stated that the beach parking fees could raise $550,000 to $650,000 that can be used to fund a lifeguard program. Can you clarify that?
Well, yes, we do raise quite a bit of fees, and it depends on what year it is. We have a 3-year annual sticker, so we have annual sticker sale. I'm sorry, we have 3-year sticker sales that we do each year, as well as the daily and the weekly sticker sales. But we do raise quite a bit of money, but we also have around $550,000 to $600,000 in expenses every year. Those beaches are unnatural, and we have to maintain them quite a bit. Also, we have to move sand around. We have to buy the water that the people use to wash their hands and go to the restroom. I mean, we're providing a lot of services out there, and it's quite a bit of money that comes in and money that goes out. We've been building a fund balance because of the different capital improvement projects that we have designed for not just the South Beach, but we have the Monroe Bluff plan, as well as the North Beach concession that needs significant amounts of work. It definitely needs a new roof. We have wooden soffits that are rotting. We know that we have work that has to be done, so we've been building up a fund balance because there's only about, maybe the max you'd get on a state grant is around $300,000. So you have a $1.2 million plan for new bathrooms and new concessions. Where are you going to come up with that money? And you don't want that to come from your general fund, so you're going to try to build up this fund balance so that you have something to spend on it. So that is there, but it took a long time to get there. And if you're talking about 1 year of lifeguards, that could wipe it out. So we have to have a plan, and that's what we talked about at DHS and our workshop, is that you have to have a plan to make sure it's fundable and sustainable.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to,
Jill's got it.
oh, sorry.
Tail end of what you just said. Question. Please don't take this to be
Joe.
accurate.
Microphone.
Microphone.
But I read in a paper, I read in a newspaper, I'm sure a lot of people saw, about the lifeguards in other cities. It was really a good article about it. And I kind of have it memorized, but maybe I've got it wrong. But a couple of the beach managers said to run their whole lifeguard program was like $70,000 to $80,000. It shocked me. Can you comment on, are they wrong, or is this we're not comparing apples with apples,
Well-
or something from 500,000 that company told us it would cost, the other beaches being done for 70 or 80,000. Why the big disparity? Or can you not comment on it
I
right
don't
now?
know what the individual ones have going on, but I do know that they're fractions of the size of the beach that we have. Moreover, this council is telling us that they want to have USLO certification. So you want the best program possible. I don't understand what they have going on out there, if they've got one or two guards or not, but what DHS has looked at, and of course, they did their research with New Buffalo and Silver Beach. So they have some of that information. I think that's going to be part of their report. They might be a bit better to answer that than me, just off the cuff, kind of spitballing.
It's time for mayor and councilperson's comments. We'll start with George.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and also thank you to all those watching out there. And if you go down Blue Star Highway and you look at the new water tower that's being built, you can just kind of get a glimpse of what it's going to look like when it's raised up. It looks really nice. So good job to the city staff on that. That's it.
Thank you. Joe.
No comments?
Mary.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone who came out tonight, also all the people who wrote to us. If you can't make it, writing is a good second choice, and everyone who helped with the meeting tonight. Just wanted to see about Kate putting something on the city council agenda with regard to conflict of interest. Over the last year, it was removed from the zoning ordinance. It was amended at the Planning Commission for the bylaws at the February meeting to mimic the definition that was in the zoning ordinance, which aligns with the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. And then at the October Planning Commission meeting, it was changed. And according to the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, actually the legislative body, us, can define it in an ordinance, which then would have it apply equally to everyone. In light of all the comments that I'm hearing, I think it would be beneficial to our community as a whole if our legislative body revisited whether that definition should be in the zoning ordinance or left to bylaws.
Wendy.
If I may get some clarity,
Well, we can talk afterwards.
Wendy.
I just had one comment, which was for Jim, even though he left, regarding Bundy's. And I don't know if he was referring to a comment I made at the last meeting about having North Shore Memory serve the North Side residents and visitors, I guess. But I just want to be on the record saying I love Bundy's. It's actually one of my favorite places to go in the summer, and I don't want to see anything happen to it. And I feel bad that he's kind of feeling like nobody wants him in his business here. I think they're a great business, and just to clarify, my point is that when we were talking about potentially having more small businesses such as bakeries and coffee shops in the neighborhoods in that area, I felt like that's not what the residents in that area are asking for, to have these in their neighborhoods, that places like North Shore Memory that are already there, and it's in a commercial building in my mind, those kind of can serve that area. So I just wanted to clarify because I feel bad that he mistook my statement potentially. And I think that's it for me.
Thanks to everyone that came and everyone that shared their thoughts on various issues. And as Mary mentioned, all the emails. A lot of them didn't get to respond to all of them. The one comment I did want to make about the homecoming parade, it's not going through downtown, and that we had nothing to do with that. City of staff had nothing to do with that. That's MDOT's fault that we're not coming down Phoenix Street. And then also it was the school staff that decided to go with golf carts instead of trailers, just for safety of the kids walking around with the parades. We have the kids, they're having fun and they get carried away. Next thing you know, they're getting run over by one of those float trailers. And we've had it happen here a couple years ago, and so that's why they had to go with the golf carts. And I know which downtown merchant's going to bend my ear about it, and I'm telling you right now, we didn't do it. It was MDOT. And then finally, kind of on a personal note, this is my 29th school year. And so I've lived in South Haven full-time now for 29 years. I've lived here longer than I lived any place else. So I think that officially means I can call myself a local. No, I'm going to go with that. I mean, it didn't come with any kind of plaque or key to the city or anything, but I'm going to go with that. I'm a local now. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Thank you to Bob Metzen and his team of the South Haven Garden Club, the Parks Commission, and Rotary for caring for the blossoms on the bridge this year. This morning, they cleaned out the flower beds, and the flowers will be back in about 8 months. So thank you to all of them. Today is about Kate's 5-year anniversary as our city manager. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your hard work. We have a lot going on in our city, and in a large part, it's because of you. You've done an amazing job working with us and with your staff, and we are grateful for your leadership. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And those are my only comments. If there's no further business, we're adjourned.